Code of Silence is the action movie event that proves why Chuck Norris's calendar jumps from March 31st to April 2nd, and that's because no one fools Chuck Norris. This movie opens with Chuck Norris on the back of a garbage truck. We do not question Chuck Norris's decision because he is...
fucking Chuck Norris.
And Chuck Norris is the man. Actually, he is a cop for the Chicago PD in this movie. Yes, the Windy City, the home of Al Capone, Barack Obama, and where Jesse Smollett paid two people with a check to beat him up while wearing MAGA hats. During this whole opening sequence, a drug deal is going down. And unlike Invasion USA, this is a more serious drug deal. It isn't the leader of a terrorist organization that kills the dealer without taking back the drugs or the money. But similarly to Invasion USA, the drug dealers get killed in a hail of gunfire. Which leads me to question, why didn't the anti-drug PSAs from the 1980s use Chuck Norris in their advertising sooner? We have two Chuck Norris movies that came out in the same year, 1985, where drug dealers and buyers die in a hail of gunfire, but all we get from Chuck Norris is this.
Aloha, I'm Chuck Norris with one simple message. The key for you and me is staying drug-free, cause
we don't get any ads as legendary as this.
Is there anyone out there who still isn't clear about what doing drugs does? Okay, last time. This is your brain. This is drugs. This is your brain on drugs. Any questions?
Or this.
I get angry just thinking about it makes me mad. Little kids doing drugs, it turns my stomach. That stuff hurts. It stops you from living up to your potential. It holds you back. It hurts the user. It hurts his family. And it hurts his friends. I just want to shake some sense into you kids that are using drugs and thinking about using. So remember, don't, or else. Okay?
Anyways, this opening drug deal sets the stage for a gang war that's about to go down on the streets of Chicago. However, if you ask residents of Chicago, this is just another Tuesday in the Windy City. Who are the people involved in this gang war? Who cares? This is basically the Montagues and the Capulets from Romeo and Juliet. Have the two families fighting just to have some sort of tension in the plot and nothing more. During this drug raid, we get this moment from a more seasoned cop. 30 years on the force, probably keeps his nose clean. And just like all good Chicago cops, he plants a gun next to the kid. Once again, in certain parts of Chicago, this is just like any other Tuesday. Then we see all Chicago cops act like Chicago cops and stick up for the guy that shot the black kid, except for Chuck Norris. Chuck Norris is the one good faith cop in all of 1980s Chicago, which begs the question, how did the mafia not already fit him for cement shoes? If they did, that would be a problem given that Chuck Norris once roundhouse kicked a guy so hard that his foot broke the speed of light. Back to the movie, you know how Chicago cops always need some heavy artillery like they're going to drop into Afghanistan to push the Russians back over their border? That's what we see with the Prowler. 50 caliber machine guns and frickin' grenade launchers that is all remote controlled, being sold by the father of Dr. Fraser Crane. After this is this whole sequence where one side of the gang war is following the daughter of the leader of the other side of the gang war, because we have to have some tension in this movie. So why not target a girl for Chuck Norris to save? At one point, they chase her onto a train where Chuck Norris fights one of the assailants and then follows him into the river, and holy shit! Chuck Norris summoned a boat out of nowhere to kill the assailant because of magic. The same magic that he uses to dribble a bowling ball. No lie there. The girl then realizes that one thing is for sure. Her family is...
dead. Murdered. And somebody's responsible.
She goes into quasi-witness protection. Chuck Norris brings her to his friend's house, but then he has to go to the hearing regarding the cop who shot the black kid. He's the only person who doesn't defend the cop. Now remember that. The girl gets kidnapped, Chuck Norris's friend is dead, and the hunt is on.
We just got you, Sarge. He was a friend of yours, wasn't he?
More than a friend.
But this is Chicago, and he refused to defend a cop who shot and killed a black kid. So, every cop who was called to assist him decides to come up with excuses not to join in.
1463. Come on, brother. Job time. 1463, you've got a 1462 requesting backup. Meet him at the pool hall, 18th Halsted.
Unit 1463 here. We can't respond on that. We've got a drug purchase in progress. You want to reassign that?
Chuck Norris is a one-man army at this point, but this is Chuck Norris we're dealing with. One Chuck Norris is the equivalent of 100 men in any fight that comes his way. However, in a rare moment of weakness, Chuck Norris gets his ass handed to him.
Victor! Victor!
Basically, he has 24 hours to bring the girl's father to the Colombian drug lord, otherwise the girl dies. The girl's father comes back to town and the chase is on. Chuck Norris attempts to stop the car himself, but the girl's father shoots the driver of the car and it causes it to flip.
Fuck with me, old man. Tony, we won't hurt you.
Now, this crash looks pretty bad, but surely he could have survived. Oh, never mind. He just got barbecued Chicago style. He still tells the Colombian drug lord that he has the girl's father, then it's off to the docks. But Chuck Norris isn't going into this fight alone. No siree. This is when we see the Prowler in action. Citizens of Chicago, look at what your tax dollars went to. This then leads into something out of a Dirty Harry movie where you have a shootout between Chuck Norris and the leader of the Colombian drug cartel. Out of bullets, the Colombian drug lord decides to grab a crowbar and decide to kill the girl. Chuck Norris takes one shot and boom, goes down the Colombian drug lord. Now, you may be wondering, how could Chuck Norris take him down from that far back? Certainly range must have played a role in what looked like a missed shot. That's because Chuck Norris really doesn't have good aim, but his bullets are afraid of missing the intended target. The girl gets saved, and that's all, folks. Many people say that this movie is Chuck Norris's only A feature, but this is still an 80s action movie through and through. If you overthink it, it begins to fall apart, but if you're a fan of action movies, you will enjoy this one. I can't think of a better way to end this review off other than this.
Thank you, Chuck Norris.
Thank you, Peter.